Do you miss him yet? Do you regret falling for the fake hysteria pushed by the media that Trump was a danger to world peace, that it was going to start world wars and usher in an age of violence and conflict? The truth is, far from starting World War III, Trump engineered multiple peace treaties in the Middle East and implemented policies that weakened Russia and China. And he did it all the whilst being maligned as some Russian puppet. He warned Europe and indeed the world what would happen if countries kept bolstering Russia by becoming dependent on its oil and gas.
You're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate?
Trump pushed hard for NATO members to increase their spending. Stop strengthening Russia, he argued, and he recognised the security danger that Nord Stream 2 posed, so much so that President Trump signed a new law that imposed harsh sanctions on any firm that helped Russia's state-owned gas company. Guess what the Biden administration did last year? Yep, they waived the sanctions on the company building the gas pipeline between Russia and Germany. 3 days ago, Biden reintroduced the sanctions. A tad too late there, Sleepy Joe. President Trump and, frankly, anyone with a functioning frontal cortex knew the dangers of what would happen if Russia was allowed to become an energy superpower.
Should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period, they have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem.
But whether President Trump was warning about the dangers of becoming dependent on Russian oil and gas, or warning NATO members that they had to spend more to properly protect their countries and region from the likes of Russia, the media just continued to mock and malign him. When Trump addressed the UN in 2018 and warned about Germany becoming reliant on Russian oil, again, he was mocked. This is senior CNN reporter Edward Isaac Dovier, who tweeted this: German delegation reaction to President Trump at the UN, saying they're on track to become totally dependent on Russian oil. Well, they're not laughing now, are they? Trump was right. Russia now accounts for 65% of Germany's natural gas imports. Germany closed its nuclear power plants and now hands over billions to Russia. As the Wall Street Journal pointed out earlier this year, a 2-decade-old decision to phase out nuclear power and more recent moves to cut reliance on coal in an effort to bring down CO2 emissions means Germany is now more reliant on Russian gas than most of its neighbours, not just for heating, but also for power generation. Germany's dependence on Russian gas has left Europe short of options to sanction Moscow if it invades Ukraine, and itself vulnerable should Russia stop gas exports to the West. And here we are. It's little wonder that despite the lies, gaslighting and disinformation pushed by the bulk of the media about Trump and Russian collusion, the majority of Americans say Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine if Trump were president. Yes, according to a new Harvard-Harris poll released Friday, 62% of Americans believe Putin would not be moving against Ukraine if Trump was still in the White House. The other 38% are either stupid or lying.